Moving on to Wrong Turn 4, and this is a pretty interesting movie that I had to deal with in terms of my history with it because, okay, given the opening of this movie, what that seemed to imply in my eyes was that this took a couple of years after the other three, and instead the cannibals have all been kidnapped and then they're being studied, but then they break out, and then there's rumors of the hillbillies, or whatever you want to call them, going through the forest again, like it was alluded to in that opening, okay? But after I finished it, I learned that this movie is actually a prequel to the other three. Well, first of all, you've kind of already ruined that storyline because based on what, as I was saying, you do in the opening scene, you actually made it seem like that this is actually a sequel and that you would actually manage to kidnap them. Now, I mean, like, one could argue if that's true, why aren't more people looking for them? Well, it has to do with rumors, and then also, just because, an asylum, you suddenly lose contact does not mean that it's taken over. For all you know, it could have been shut down, by the government secretly or just anything like that. Just, yeah. I just really do not like how this was a prequel when it really did look like at the original that, I mean, the opening bit that this was a sequel. I just can't get over that. I have no clue why. Yeah. And, then as the movie went on, I began to feel differently about this movie than I did with the other three because in the other three I felt tense, wanting to see what was going to happen with these protagonists and how they would deal with the cannibals. But in this movie, I actually had a bit of a negative apprehension towards it throughout. Now, you gotta remember, I didn't know that this was a prequel until I finished watching it, okay? But had I known that this was a prequel, going into it, I don't think I would have bothered with it because obviously, if it's a prequel, well, nobody's going to make it. Right, but the thing was, I was beginning to get apprehensive and start to think that, something might be up with these guys. Although I was interested in how these guys were acting, because the thing was, even though they projected a very big level of incompetence, at the same time, they demonstrated that if the buttons get pushed correctly, they can actually do a nice job of fighting back. I mean, like, they are defeated pretty easily, but if they work as a group and actually try, they have potential to stop those cannibals. It was just the odds were actually against them. But I just got the feeling that there was something different about this movie, and then as it went on, I got, more and more depressed, even though it looked like the last couple of them were going to get out of there. But then, like, how they dealt with the deaths of the last four people, that chick that was killed outside during the night, then that one girl who tried to ski away but ended up freezing to death in the storm, just 50 feet from a road, and then how those last two were killed by the barbed wire. I didn't totally like how they dealt with that, I don't know. Now, I've heard that this movie's general reaction appears to be the opposite of the third one, where more people seem to be in favor of this one than the third one, and I can understand where you're coming from because I was able to get some pros from this, and I was spooked out by the asylum setting, but I just could not get into this one, really. I'll give it 3 out of 5 for trying, but I don't like this movie, to be honest. I'm more likely to go back to other movies that I've rated worse than it, to be honest, so I'll add the 2 out of 5 personally and make that 3 out of 5 critique. Okay. I gotta speed this up because we're getting a little long. Wrong Turn 5. Okay, well, if I felt some negative feeling while I was watching the fourth one, this one just had it from the get-go because you know how I mentioned that it seemed like the protagonist of the fourth one had some potential to fight back. These guys, I didn't really see that, minus the sheriff chick, to be honest, because just like, seriously, did they not really want to even try with these people and instead just make another cash grab based on what was going on with the other four, you know? And then that guy who's suddenly in charge of the cannibals, where did he come from? Now, I know that this guy who plays the character appears to have been in a nice amount of movies, and there's a little bit more to it than I think there is, but I've never really been able to figure it out, or I just can't remember if I did figure it out. And just, I felt like his character came out of nowhere, especially given what they do with the next movie, you know, by not having his character be in there, despite the fact it's the same people who play the cannibals. Yeah, so just, what, this movie was really just a cash grab. I mean, like, I felt a couple of the deaths were just like, oh man, like the guy who was buried in the soccer field, but at the same time, they really did drag it out, and like, this isn't even RoboCop, where, like, even when I saw the movie the first time it was disturbed, I actually did laugh at one of the over-the-top situations, but here, I wasn't laughing, I was annoyed by it. Just wanting it to be over, and then, like, the special effects that they had in here, no, hold on a sec. I know that, you know, given how this is a direct-to-DVD kind of thing, we can't expect that great special effects, but here's the thing, okay? I am somebody that rarely notices what is referred to as, you know, below the bar in terms of special effects, okay? Because the first few times that I saw J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movie, I didn't remember or really realize the lens flare issue, okay? I actually completely forgot about it. The first time I saw the movie A Sound of Thunder, I didn't see the bad special effects in the future city night scenery, you know. So if I'm able to pick up that the sets that they have where two guys are running through the alleyways are just crap, you know it's bad, because I'm not somebody that looks for that. I don't. Okay? That says something. And just the fact that, you know, I had no faith in these protagonists, just like, they really made this movie longer than it should have been. It was obvious that the cannibals were going to kill all of them. Like, the cannibals weren't even injured, really, in here. The only guy who got injured was the human guy, and he was just in jail for one evening. That was it. Yeah, I definitely did kind of feel like I was wasting my time with this one. 2 out of 5, just because I felt like the acting was okay. And then Ron turned 6. Now, I had heard that there was a little bit of a renewed vibe and interest in this movie. And when I saw the setting, I go, oh, that's interesting. I'm getting a different vibe from this. I think this actually should be interesting. But then I got 10 minutes into it, and I felt like my interest was just sucked right out of me, because like I could totally tell that this movie was going to be completely different than the other 5, and it was. Just like the cannibals, they're not even the main part of the story. They're in the movie just to be there, and they're in the movie for all total of like, oh, I don't know, 10 minutes out of a 86-minute movie, even though it felt longer, because after I passed, you know, the opening and the first few minutes where I was getting used to the protagonists in here, I literally kept looking at the time of the stream that I was doing for this movie every couple of minutes. The last time I did that was 3 years ago, when I was watching the 1960s Casino Royale movie with Peter Sellers, David Nayland, and all those other people. Okay? I haven't done that in 3 years. This movie was a real chore to sit through. It was. And just like, the whole time I was looking at it going, these characters, they aren't interesting. They're totally changing the course of this series, and just like, I'm not interested in this. Like, why is you picking this guy who doesn't really have that much personality to suddenly be the inheritor of all this, and then those 2 guys who were working with the cannibals, just their behavior was just stupid, and all this fascination about sex You know, like, that was really over the top. And let me tell you, it was a pretty big ball over the top. Okay, just, that was ridiculous. And just, when the kid just suddenly turns rogue on his friends, why did you go rogue on your friends? But just, at the same time, I didn't care about it. Because, like, I was just like, oh man, this is just such a stupid movie. I mean, like, most of the time when I hear people say that, you know, like, they want to gorge their eyes out or something because they're watching the movie, I'm like, okay, seriously, it's not that bad. Well, now that I've sat through two very similar movies where I had similar feelings, Casino Royale 1960, whatever, and this movie, I get how they feel, just... Like, it was much easier for me to sit through Texas Chainsaw, The Next Generation, than it was for me to sit through this movie. And I rated that 1 out of 5, like I'm gonna rate this movie, just... Oh man, that was just such a chore, just... Talk about not getting me interested. And I'm somebody that never really, behaves this way, because pretty much everything that I've talked about, I can give some kind of good pro to it. So if I can't really give it a good pro, it's bad. Because I'm very open-minded most of the time when it comes to movies and TV shows and such. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, boy. And from the looks of things, it seems like they aren't going to be making a sequel to this, and I so hope they don't, because just like, after coming out with a very good theatrical movie, two interesting direct-to-DVD releases, even though I feel it's a different two than the two that most people say, because most people are like 4, I personally prefer 3 over 4. You just had bad hit after bad hit after bad hit, and just... Yeah, like, every one of these movies is worse than the one that came before it. Because I rated the first one 4.5, like I said. This one I rated 1 out of 5. So please, just let this one die, okay? This isn't even like, the Ice Age movies where at least you're able to draw people to the theaters, you know? Or like, those guys who rip off pretty much every movie imaginable, you know, with Epic Movie, Date Movie, Meet the Spartans, Vampires Suck, with all the Will Ferrell humor in there. Because, like, that's different, okay? Because that, you know it's bad, but you watch it because you want to see a bad movie. But this, just, you don't want to watch this because it's bad. You want to watch this because you want to be enjoying a horror movie or a slasher movie. But just, it just fails epically. Just, oh man. Jeez. What else can I say? Yeah. So much for speeding that up. Well, I hope you enjoyed this.